Four-staters celebrate St. Patrick's Day with some safety precautions in place.
The Secretary of Homeland Security testifies about the surge of migrants at the southern border. I'm Natalie Brand on Capitol Hill with his response to Republicans who blame the administration's policies.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Parts of the four states are under a tornado watch. This is KOAM News at 5. We turn now to Doug Heddy for a first look at the weather.
Yeah, we've been watching showers and thunderstorms really popping up over the past several hours, and the region that we really got to watch for severe weather is mainly along and south of Interstate 44, especially in southwestern parts of Missouri. We have some intense storms that have popped up over the past couple hours. Several severe thunderstorm warnings. No tornado warnings at this time, but several severe thunderstorm warnings. Eastern parts of Newton County, and then also eastern parts of McDonald County, and then a new one in Berry County. And these are all packing a punch. Very large hail, golf ball size hail, winds at about 60. They're all moving northeast at about 30 miles per hour. The one in southern Berry we need to watch as it does have some rotation with it. Not enough to warrant a tornado warning, but enough to warrant keeping our eyes on it. All these other storms back in Ottawa County, we need to watch these as they swing into western parts of Newton County and also the Joplin Metro. Now, if you live north of Interstate 44, you are getting showers, you are getting thunderstorms, but you don't have to worry about anything severe. It's just a little too cold and a little too stable. It's mainly along and south of Interstate 44. Severe threat will disappear in 2 hours, but believe it or not, we're going to go over to snow later on tonight. So, of course, a lot to talk about all coming up here in just a bit.
All right, we'll see you then. Thanks, Doug. Some four-staters started early celebrating St. Patrick's Day at Blackthorne Pizza and Pub in Joplin. They've been open since 6 this morning, requiring masks and social distancing. Even with the safety precautions, customers we talked to say this year's celebration feels like a step back toward more normal life.
It's been hard on everybody with the jobs and businesses closed, especially the smaller business owners and stuff. I mean, everybody's really taking a beating. So I'm hoping that we can overcome this and start being a big happy community again.
Tonight at 6, we're going to hear how the pandemic has impacted the pub's plans last year and how today was a bit different as well. As states move forward in their vaccine plans, more people become eligible for the COVID vaccine. But some people are hesitant to take the vaccine for a number of reasons. Dr. Eden Esquera, an infectious disease specialist at Mercy, says she knows it's unlikely we'll reach 100% of people being vaccinated, but she's hopeful we may get to 90%. Dr. Esquera says the most common concern she encounters is people saying the vaccine was developed too quickly.
Because of the magnitude of the pandemic, the stakeholders just decided to work together and cut the red tape. And in fact, this is a great example of accomplishing great things when you know the urgency of this pandemic.
We're going to hear more about other concerns and what facts you need to know about the vaccine tonight at 6. President Biden and the Irish Prime Minister discussed the coronavirus pandemic during their virtual St. Patrick's Day meeting. The administration is also touting the stimulus checks from the American Rescue Plan. The Treasury Department says it's doled out well over $200 billion in direct stimulus payments so far. With thousands of migrants arriving at America's southern border, President Biden's new Secretary of Homeland Security spoke to Congress on how the administration is working to control the escalating humanitarian challenge. Natalie Brand reports from Capitol Hill.
Under a bridge connecting Mexico to the United States, families wait. As their numbers grow, the U.S. is now on pace to stop more migrants crossing the southern border than at any point in the last 20 years.
We are working around the clock to manage it, and it will take time.
Testifying before Congress for the first time since his confirmation, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas faced Republican critics calling the situation a crisis.
Do you agree that we have a crisis on the southern border? Yes or no?
Congressman, we have a very serious challenge. We also have a plan to address it.
Secretary Mayorkas testified that most adults and families are being turned away under a pandemic-related health rule, but not children arriving alone. CBS News has learned there are more than 13,000 children in U.S. custody.
We're addressing the numbers while we rebuild our capabilities nearly from scratch while we rebuild lawful pathways that the law provides.
While the House is taking up 2 smaller immigration measures this week, President Biden is also trying to clarify messaging to those hoping to cross into the U.S.
I can say quite clearly, don't come, and what we're in the process of getting set up.
The administration is scrambling to open new sites to house the children already here, including the convention center in Dallas.
Our help will be really centered on getting volunteers to help keep the kids calm and nurtured.
It will serve as emergency shelter for thousands of teenage boys as the administration works to relieve overcrowding at Border Patrol facilities. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
Another housing facility has opened up at a former camp for oil field workers in Midland, Texas, run by Health and Human Services. The administration is also considering using a NASA facility in California. Atlanta police say this man, 21-year-old Robert Aaron Long, is responsible for the shooting deaths of 8 people at 3 spas. Police used surveillance footage to identify him and were able to track his phone. Nearly all of the victims were Asian. Long says he was not motivated by race. He reportedly told investigators he has a sex addiction and saw the spas as a temptation he wanted to eliminate. Still ahead, Europe deals with a new spike in COVID cases.
Headed back into lockdown as COVID keeps spreading. I'm Tina Kraus with why Europe is facing a 3rd wave of infections.
And next in Health Watch, a new poll highlights the mental health toll the pandemic has taken on teens. New study finds middle-aged people who walk slowly are nearly 4 times more likely to die from COVID-19 and twice as likely to contract a severe case of the virus. UK researchers say the slow walkers in the study were not overweight and that their coronavirus risk was higher than obese people who walk briskly. A new national poll highlights the significant toll the pandemic is having on the mental health of teenagers. Reporter Elise Preston has more.
It's been a tough year for many teens like Dominique Parkey.
Just with being in quarantine a lot, it makes me feel alone.
The pandemic kept the 17-year-old at home and away from friends and teachers.
Once in a while, I'd see a neighbor outside. That was my only social life.
These changes in social interactions have perhaps hit teens the hardest during this pandemic, according to a new CS Mott Children's Hospital national poll. 75% of parents report this past year has had a negative impact on their teens' connections. 46% report signs of a new or worsening mental health condition.
Many teens have experienced disruption in their normal lives. That's coming from closed schools, from canceled activities, from an inability to hang out with friends and family. Just at an age where teens are biologically primed to want to have those experiences with their peers and to begin to separate from their family.
Dr. Gary Freed is co-director of the poll, which also found parents of teen girls were more likely to say their child had new or worsening symptoms of depression and anxiety.
Researchers say parents can help teens cope. They recommend safe interactions such as spending time outside, social distancing, and mask wearing.
Many parents have also sought the help of either a primary care provider or mental health providers during this time. And the majority of parents who sought that help have found it to be beneficial for their teen.
Half of parents polled also loosened social media restrictions for their teens and say it helped. Dr. Freed recommends boundaries so that screen time doesn't interfere with physical activity and sleep. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
Good sleep hygiene is critical for teens, especially at a time like this. Experts recommend parents help kids create a good routine, whether they're doing virtual or in-person learning, with a regular sleep and wake time. 94% of older adults were prescribed drugs in 2017 that raised their risk of falling. That's according to a new study from the University of Buffalo. That same number was 57% in 1999. Researchers also found from 1999 to 2017 the rate of deaths caused by falls more than doubled. Doug Heddy is up next with his complete forecast, and a little bit later, our pet vet on call.
Hi, I'm Dr. Eva Dudek from Parsons Pet Hospital. Coming up, we're going to tell you what to do when your dog rips up its toys.
Well, of course, it's turned out to be kind of a wild afternoon. Showers, thunderstorms, some severe weather across the region, mainly in southwestern parts of Missouri. You can see we have a tornado watch in effect. This is along and south of Interstate 44. So if you live west of Miami, you're out of the severe weather. Kansas, Missouri, north of I-44, you're also out of the severe weather. I know this looks like a tornado watch. Oddly enough, this is a winter weather advisory, and we'll talk about that for later on tonight. So we're focused in here. Severe thunderstorm warnings, southeastern Jasper, eastern Newton, northern parts of McDonald, Lawrence County, Berry County, and then right now we just got a tornado warning that went out in southern parts of Berry County. If you remember back on January 30th, we had all those tornado warnings. It was a Saturday. It's this storm system again, so mark your calendar for May 4th because this system will come back through once again. But look at all the storms exploding again. These are just strong storms north of I-44, but south of I-44, that's where the air mass is very unstable, and we got to watch for severe weather for about the next 2 hours or so, and then things will start to calm down just a little bit. But we got this storm in northeastern parts of Ottawa County, and it's packing a decent punch, but it's staying just below severe limits. But this will pass into the south side of the city, also Seneca, and probably Neosho as well. Let's track south and east. Here's Monette. This is a very intense cell. So this is the eastern parts of Newton County, and where you see the kind of purplish magenta colors, that's where we're getting a very big hail core, so golf ball size hail. We've had a lot of reports of hail through Newton County and also McDonald County. This is lifting northeast at 30. It's going to mainly stay just to the west of Monette, but will most likely move into Mount Vernon here in about 20 minutes. Then we can track into McDonald County, and these are very strong cells, but we need to watch these to see if they can develop into something a little bit more powerful. Then we go into Berry County. So here's Cassville, south of Cassville, this huge storm right here, and this is a monster hail core, so at least golf ball size hail, if not tennis ball size. And then right on the southeast side, we're getting enough rotation to warrant a tornado warning. So this is a little closer toward Eagle Rock, Roaring River, and it's lifting northeast at about 30 miles per hour. So let's go through time. Severe weather's gone here in about an hour and a half. Threat's gone. Everybody will get showers and thunderstorms. Look at the pink. This is switching over to snow. So as we go through the overnight hours, here's 10, 11 o'clock on the Kansas side, a rain-snow mix, real big fat flakes, heavy, wet snow. Of course, our temperatures are going to be in the 30s. We're going to be above freezing. So I don't expect much in the way of issues on the roadways, but we could definitely see some accumulations on the grass. Look, all this snow. So here's 2 a.m. Snow continues into the morning hours and then slowly starts to push out by the time we head into the afternoon. Let me go ahead and let's skip ahead here because, of course, I'm on a time limit. But I want to show you rainfall amounts with this system tonight. A lot of areas are going to pick up 1 to 2 inches of rain. And then snow tonight, I think some areas could pick up 1 to 2 inches of snow. Again, this is going to be on the grassy surfaces, so not a huge issue on the roadways, but still something we need to watch. Of course, severe weather continues. Southwestern Missouri, south of I-44 for about the next hour and a half. And then just rain and snow into tomorrow morning, much colder, high of only 42. Then we dry out and look at the weekend, back into the 60s, looking pretty good.
It's amazing. Mild temperatures this afternoon, then severe storms, then snow, all in the space of 12 hours or so.
That's the 4 states.
Well, I guess so, especially in the spring. Thanks, Doug. Coming up, Pfizer considers raising vaccine prices after the pandemic. First, though, we honor a local veteran. Randy Holt served in the U.S. Army from 2002 to 2004. The Galena, Kansas native was stationed in Iraq, and we salute Staff Sergeant Randy Holt, a 4-state hero. Pfizer is weighing a post-pandemic vaccine price hike. Speaking at a recent healthcare conference, the company says its current pricing is driven by the pandemic climate and the urgency of governments needing doses of its coronavirus vaccine. But top brass say that could change once the pandemic calms and the healthcare environment shifts. Countries all across Europe are bracing for a third wave of the coronavirus pandemic as vaccine efforts lag behind the U.S. Tina Kraus reports from London.
With COVID cases spiking, Italy is shutting down again.
We can't stand this situation anymore.
Half of the country's 20 regions are under the strictest form of lockdown as the disease threatens to overrun hospitals. France, Germany, and Poland are also set to impose tough restrictions as new variants and a shortage of vaccines have sent infections soaring. Italian health officials say they're receiving less than 50% of expected doses.
I think the same happened everywhere in Europe. So it's not an Italian problem. I think it's a European problem.
Adding to the problem, many European nations temporarily stopped giving the AstraZeneca vaccine after reports of patients dying from blood clots shortly after getting the shot. But European regulators say the vaccine's benefits outweigh the risk. Britain is leading Europe's vaccination race, and scientists here say booster vaccines will be crucial as the virus keeps changing.
Immunity to coronavirus doesn't last forever.
Researchers hope tracking how the virus changes by mapping mutations in the genetic code will keep vaccines one step ahead of the disease.
I think it's inevitable that we will have another virus emerge that's of concern.
Europeans had hoped for a better 2021, but the EU's vaccine program has so far failed to deliver. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
Our pet vet on call next. The CBS Evening News is next. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to have a look at some of the damage from severe storms in the area early this morning. Plus, the operator of an area pub celebrating St. Patrick's Day talks about the pandemic's impact on business the past year. And the Area Agency on Aging reopens some Southwest Missouri senior centers. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. A lot of pet owners buy their furry friends some toys to keep them busy and active, but some pets play maybe a little too roughly with those toys. Well, today's question for our pet vet on call: every dog toy I buy gets chewed up within days. Any suggestions?
Actually, yes. Chill and deal with it. My philosophy is you've given them that toy, it's their possession, they can do whatever they want with it, and if they want to tear it up, that's theirs. I'm assuming you're talking about stuffed toys because every dog pulls the head off or the limbs off and then pulls out all the stuffing. Hold on to those casings. It's not a lost cause. I personally happen to have a huge basket full of toy casings, and every day my dogs go to that basket, root around, and get a different toy to play with. So it's not a lost cause. The other thing that you might be talking about are like plastic toys that they rip up. If they swallow chunks of that could cause an obstruction or perforation or issues, then I would suggest that you introduce your dog to stuffed toys.
If you have a question, whether it's about a weird habit of your pet or a health concern, just send it to petvet@koamtv.com. Dr. Eva Dudek from the Parsons Pet Hospital answers a different question or brings us a fun fact every Wednesday here on KOAM News at 5. Let's check out this week's Picks of the Litter from the Joplin Humane Society. We've chosen an adult female cat named Emma. The shelter says Emma's sweet and affectionate, but not fond of dogs. And from the SEK Humane Society, we've chosen this 1-year-old male American Red Heeler named Eden. If you're looking for a pet, why not check out your local Humane Society? Doug's keeping an eye on the weather because we have some changes brewing out there.
We do, and we still have some severe weather out there right now. This is all in southwestern parts of Missouri. Everybody's going to be winding down here in about the next hour, but look at all the warnings still. Southeastern parts of Jasper, eastern parts of Newton County, and then McDonald County, and also Berry County. We also still have a tornado warning. This is in Berry County, and this is south of Cassville, just north and west of Eagle Rock on Table Rock Lake. Again, these will wind down here in about the next hour. Let's switch to our 7-day. We got rain over to snow later on tonight and a high temp tomorrow of only 42.
See you at 6. In the meantime, let's take care of ourselves and each other.